Good afternoon. My name is Jared Shade. I'm the superintendent of the Upper Dauphin Area School District, and I'm happy to be with you. Sorry I could not be there in person with you today. I would much rather be there. Thank you to the Pennsylvania Association of Career and Technical Administrators for hosting this conference, and special thanks to Claudia Morell and her team for organizing this session and understanding the importance of the topic of leadership. Thank you to the attendees for understanding also the importance of this conversation topic of leadership. So a quick little bit about myself. I've been the superintendent for 5 years now at the Upper Dauphin Area School District. Prior to that, I was our high school principal of a comprehensive high school where we had 5 approved programs of study. Prior to that, I was the middle school principal for 3 years at the Upper Dauphin Area School District. So prior to all that, I was also a tradesperson. I was a roofer and a carpenter, and I'm sure glad I'm not roofing today because this has been a hot summer. So again, I apologize for not being able to be with you, and thank you all for being here. I'll kick this off by a familiar quote Albert Einstein shared with us, and he said that if I had an hour to solve a problem, I would take 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about solutions. So let's discuss the problem. It starts with the teacher shortage. And you may say, well, how does leadership impact the teacher shortage? And career and technical education folks, you can certainly appreciate this conversation of the teacher shortage. Hard to fill positions, you know which ones they are and which ones they aren't. And it's no secret that the Department of Education issued more emergency certificates in 2023 than they did instructional 1 certificates. It wasn't much more, but it was more, and it was the first time that that's occurred. If you're interested, you can find this information. It's called Act 82 of 2018. It's a report in the Department of Education website. It's also no secret that in 2010, the Department of Education issued 21,000 teaching certificates. Today, 2023, 7,000, which is 14,000 fewer certificates. So school administrators in the room, you're aware of this problem, you feel this problem every day. You discuss this problem, and you know the folks in industry can make much more money than teachers. What is really not talked about is the link from teaching to administration, right? So if there are so many fewer professionals entering the educational industry, what will that mean eventually for our leadership? In 2010, the Department of Education issued 1,000 Administrative 1 certificates. That number was cut in half in 2023 to 500. So again, what does all this data have to do with leadership? Well, it's suggesting that over time, we will certainly have fewer folks doing the job, which isn't great. Ed Fuller, Dr. Fuller from Penn State, does a nice job bringing this problem to our attention. The article is called Principal Attrition in PA from 2014 to 2023. He states in his article that principal turnover in Pennsylvania has increased by 4.2%, which is the largest increase we've experienced since data was collected. Overall, the principal attrition rate in 2023 was over 15%, which is also the highest since the data was made available and started to be tracked by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. He does a nice job breaking down his research and including all kind of different demographics, schools as well. So I recommend taking a look at the article. He does a nice job kind of describing the problem. So not only are there much fewer folks, professionals seeking certification and aspire to become educators, there's also a large increase in turnover of these positions, especially leadership positions. I will include a quote a teacher once told me during an individual conversation I had with him when I first took over as high school principal of our comprehensive high school. And he said to me, "I was here before you got here, and I will be here after you leave." And he was right. And I think really, let's dissect that quote. And it really stuck with me and it was meaningful. But what did he mean by that? I think, what he meant was whatever initiatives and change you plan to come here and implement won't last long because you won't be here to see it through. And that really resonated with me. And it was something that I then decided that I want to pursue to try to make a change, and not just locally, but at a larger scale. Now, Dr. Fuller mentions in his article, he references this quote, but he understands that, and we all can understand and appreciate that normally principal turnover will have a negative effect on teachers and the education of our students. So I make the reference that every time we hire a new principal, we take one step forward, and if they resign or move somewhere else, we take 2 steps back. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Well, it's really hard to make progress in any organization if you're constantly replacing your leaders. So at this time, I'd like to pause, and Claudia, you can decide to hit pause on the video, hopefully not capturing me in some awkward facial expression. But I would like to hear from the group, and I think it's time to have the conversation why. If we understand the why, it will help us create solutions. Why are professionals not choosing to become teachers and eventually leaders in education? There are a lot of factors. So at this time, you can go ahead and pause and have that conversation. So welcome back, and again, I apologize I could not be there with you in person. I would much rather be there with you in person. You probably said salary, parents, stress, lack of preparedness, but did you discuss culture and a working environment? So let's discuss those ideas. Now, the solutions up until this point that have been offered to us have been this idea of reducing qualifications to become a teacher or an administrator, making it easier to pursue administration. Does that really address the working environment? Dr. Fuller points out in this article that very little research was done on the working environment of administrators and educational leaders. So to make lasting and change that will impact student learning, we will have to have a positive impact, which will have a positive impact on our community, state, and nation. It starts and ends with leadership. Because to be a great leader is to inspire. Inspire teachers to perform their best for our students. So how can we produce a culture and a climate where our leaders want to stay, we can attract quality and talented teachers, and deliver the best possible education to our students because they deserve it? Thank you. I wish I was there with you to listen to the conversation, but I appreciate you taking interest in this topic and being a part of the conversation.